It's still this morning on ITV, and this is the Abuja Network Center. Yes, we are discussing tackling gender-based violence. According to a report by the United Nations, in 2023, every 10 minutes, partners and family members killed a woman intentionally in 2023. And so, therefore, the crisis of gender-based violence is a global problem, and it is urgent. We are celebrating 16 days of activism to create more awareness on gender-based violence. And to discuss this matter with me, I have in the studio Teresa Ogbaozibe. She is founder, Girl Champion Hub. You're welcome.
Yes, Mo, thank you so much.
And I also have joining us via Zoom, Lois Amele, who is sexual, gender-based, and mental health advocate. Well, you're welcome once again to the program.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, Lois. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Good to have you on the show.
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. How you
Good to have you on the show. Okay, let me quickly start with you. We are celebrating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Yeah. What constitutes gender-based violence? Is it just when somebody is physically assaulted, or there are other forms of gender-based violence?
Put everything together. So gender-based violence is any violent act that happens to you because of your gender. So because I'm a female, this happens to me, and because I'm a male, this violent act happens to me. So gender-based violence is actually inclusive of the men, because it's a gender talk. But the reason why we talk about females or women a lot of times is because the prevalence of violence is actually high when it comes to women. So that's the reason why we talk about it. And if you can see our team for the 16 days of activism, you can see that it says that every 10 minutes a woman is killed, and it says no excuse, unite to end violence against women. The prevalence is actually high. If every 10 minutes a woman is killed, that is a lot of number. That is femicide, and that is not something that I think we should be talking about in 2024. In this century, it's a lot. There are different forms of sexual and gender-based violence. We have intimate partner violence, domestic violence, a whole lot of them. We have the cultural practices as well that involves FGM, breast ironing, child betrothal, a whole lot of things. So sexual and gender-based violence is actually a lot. It encompasses a lot, and I think it's time to put a focal point on it, and that's why we have these 16 days of activism, so that we can talk about all of these things and find a way to address them, because it's actually a lot. We see sexual harassment, we see for vulnerable people, like people with disability, people living in conflict, the LGBTQ, and all the rest. It's actually a lot. If you want to put that in different groups, we'll say it's a lot, because we have intimate partner violence, we have sexual assault and harassment, we have for vulnerable people, and we have harmful traditional practices, and the examples and all of that under it is actually a lot of it's a lot, and we're looking for ways that we can end sexual and gender-based violence during these 16 days of activism. 10 minutes, every 10 minutes a woman is dead is it's a lot of number, and I think it's time to address it.
All right, Teresa, Girl Champion Hope, and I would like to ask, why girls? Why focus on only girls? Because we know that there are little boys that are being abused. So why girls? Just girls?
Girl Champion Hub, we focus more on girl child because it's like I'm the founder, so it came from a place where I did not want things to keep happening. I experienced a lot of things as a girl child, and anytime I speak about it, it's always about you don't have to say, let's keep it quiet and all of that. So there's this special thing I have for the girl child. I want to see us strive, because there's a lot of limitations attached to the girl child. I'm not saying it's not attached to the male child, but it is, I don't know, it's like it's just revolving around the girls. When you wear a clothes and maybe you are being raped, it is about what do you wear. They don't think about talking to the man, why did you do that? The first thing they ask, and that's a legalized nonsense, for you to ask first of all, what did you wear? Men are supposed to learn to respect women. They are supposed to learn how to respect people in general. So that's why I focus more on the girl child, because we have so much limitation attached to it, and that's why I'm so happy about the 60 days activism. We want to stop all of those stigma and all of that.
Okay, you talked about it's always about how the girl is dressed, especially in rape cases. We've heard that it is something that always comes up. When the issue comes up, it is either where did it happen, what were you wearing, and all of that. But looking at also the saying that men are attracted by what they see, don't you think there is a sense to what they say when it comes to how a woman should dress, especially in Africa?
Okay,
Nigeria.
I actually feel that.
Let me just say, especially in Nigeria.
Yes, I feel that we should be more disciplined, and that's why everything boils out to parenting. We spend time in Nigeria focusing on just training the girl child, not training the male child. So thereby, you train your girl child so properly and giving it to someone who is not well trained, and that person who is not well trained cannot value, will not even see that as anything. So you thereby, okay, your child is well organized, well like this, well this, and the male child is not like that. Now, male child, you're supposed to understand there's some level of parenting that you're supposed to have acquired, the skills of discipline. If you go outside the country, you see people even wear something that is, and most times we don't see them do that because there's a law binding it.
They will tell you that is their tradition in
their
Nigeria,
tradition.
yes.
Okay, that's a tradition. That's why I said a lot of things seems legal, but they are legalized nonsense. That's what I used to say it, because they are not right. So we need to erase that. From our male child, you can see a lady strip off naked and do nothing because you are disciplined. So that's why I said it all boils out to parenting. And that's why sometimes when I'm having my live stream at Girl Champion Hub, I always emphasize that the boys and the men should join, because this whole teaching cannot go forward and we cannot stop activism if men are not included. They also need to get the knowledge.
All right, Lois, Lois, I would like to ask you, we've been doing this 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. How would you assess the improvement so far?
Okay, so I would say that honestly, we are advocating. The founder of the Girls Champion Hub is right there with you in the studio, and if you ask her, she will also say that a lot of people are out there and we are truly advocating, but there is so much work to be done. Because looking at female genital mutilation, last year we had over 200 million women, living in 29 countries, are living with the consequences of female genital mutilation. 10%, of that 200 million are Nigerian women. So we can say that I'm saying this from the UNFPA website. So we can say that over 20 million women, in Nigeria is living with the consequences of female genital mutilation, and from UNFPA as well. You can see that the number is a lot, and we're trying to bring it down. And Nigeria is topping the third highest country with female genital mutilation. And then you get to hear all of these cases, and it's annoying because it's a cultural practice and it's very difficult to eradicate because it is rooted in the culture. And it's something that we've been talking about, we've been raising awareness about. But the fact that a lot of people are still, holding on to their culture and saying that this is what our parents and our forefathers have been doing before now is actually difficult. We've been trying. A lot of people have abandoned the act. I will talk more on female genital mutilation because I'm specific for that's what I've been advocating for a long time now. And there's this type of female genital mutilation that we don't often talk about, and it's the husband stitch. So after a woman gives birth, there is a part that is now sold extra. So she's been sold extra so that she can be tighter for the male. That's another type of female genital mutilation, and it's a huge, it's disheartening. Why a woman would do that to herself just because she wants to please somebody, or because of the culture that has been imbibed, or because of the things that her parents have told her. So I would say that activists have been working, advocates have been working, the UN, Women Affairs, different organizations have actually been working. My organization, Good Side Philippine Bishops Foundation, has actually been working, to end this violence. In fact, we are going down to the children to make them understand that you can actually say no. I wrote a book, Tolani Nirara, and it's also in Braille, to include persons with disability, and we have been seeing cases of girls trying to run away, I've seen cases of, but the book made them understand that you can be brave and you can stand and say, no, I don't want to do this. There's a little that the advocates and the activists can do. I think it's left for you as a woman, as a girl child, to say, okay, no, I would stand to say, don't do this to me. So we see women that are going through domestic violence in their home, and you try to talk to them about this, but they don't want to leave because maybe they are children or one thing or the other. But I would say on this show that it's important that the change starts with you as a human being. I've said this over and over again. I've been to different communities in Ekiti, Nasarawa, Abuja, different communities. I'm presently in Lagos, and we've been doing this advocacy. But the most important part is it has to start with you as an individual, as a woman. You have to stand up and say no. When you say no, then we can now say, okay, you can call us and we can come to your aid. There's a little that we can do. The change has to start with you. You have to be courageous about it and say, oh, I must not allow this to continue. I must not allow that to continue. I think that's what we should do. Because see femicide that's happening, we're saying every 10 minutes a woman is killed. Why would you allow yourself to be beaten over and over and over again before you know that it's time for you to leave that relationship or leave that marriage?
Sorry, I'll go through your thoughts because we are seriously battling with time. But there's one question I'd like to ask you quickly before I return to the studio where Teresa is still with me. What amount of energy are people putting in fighting violence, especially sexual-based violence against little boys? Because that is also becoming very rampant.
So actually, basically, what we are doing is, creating awareness. And I think not just a media awareness, but interpersonal awareness, where we meet with these women that have been through these violent acts and we talk to them about it. I'm not just certified as a sexual and gender-based violence, I'm also certified as a mental health advocate and, a cross-culture and diversity advocate. So we meet them interpersonally and talk to them. We meet with perpetrators as well, and talk to them about this. Because when it comes to female genital mutilation, a lot of them don't know that it is wrong. So we meet with them and we talk to them. So awareness creation, education is very, very important. And then holding perpetrators accountable is also something that we do. Once something has been done and nothing is done about it, happens over and over and over again. So this particular case happened in when a girl was raped and she was taken to the police, and I think they gave the boy a bail. The perpetrator was apprehended and he was bailed. And after he was bailed, he kept on happening to the girl. The boy kept on raping the girl because the appearance goes out and all of that. So I think the need to allow the law to hold on to perpetrators. I don't know how to say this, but to allow the law to hold on to these perpetrators and let the judiciary, work according to the laws that we have. We have PAP Act, we have the Child Act, and the rest.
All right, thank you very much. I am still here in the studio with Teresa. I am very particular about the boy child because you talked about
the girl child.
Yes, you talked about training the girls, because I know for many years we've been talking about violence against women. It's always about against women, but we've also seen cases where boys are being abused. So I am asking, is there a possibility that in the near future, as we discuss how to end violence against women, we should also discuss how to openly discuss how to end violence, especially sexual violence against little boys?
Yes, it should be, because basically, even if I am advocating for the girl child, we have issues like that. You hear a parent reach out to you saying one of the girl child staying in her house started having something to do with her son, maybe the nanny and all of that. So subsequently, I still feel the government actually have a lot to do. We are actually going to do ours, but we need something that is going to back up that when you know you're actually doing this, there's something. They said that when there's law, even if people...
But there's law.
Yes, there are laws. You know,
there are laws.
There are difference between there are laws and there are laws that are working. This should be working regardless of your economic background, financial background, whatever. If, for instance, the president has to be fined in any of these, he should be tackled. It is only at that point where we don't place superior motive around all of these things. That's the only way they can actually stop finally. So like when you said about abroad, when something like this happens, they don't take it lightly. They take it like a death sentence because it is bad. It is something they frown about. So we should do more about that. So for the boy child, they are not left out. Many boys are going through this sexual abuse and gender-based violence. Just that the ladies can easily just talk about it. But men, they bottle up. Men don't cry. So they cope up and see it as a way of life. And that's why at Girl Champion Hub, we sensitize people a lot. We sensitize both the boy child, the girl child, parents, so that education goes a long way. They say what you don't know that is wrong is not wrong. But the moment you know, oh, if you're wearing this kind of shoe here, we don't allow, then you now know that, oh, these things are not wrong. So education, I think we should do more on teaching, and people should actually engage on those teachings.
Okay, is there any need for us to also, is there any needs for girls, especially the younger ones, to be educated on how to dress? Because
yes,
is it important?
Yes, it is important. Since we are in a country that dressing is everything, they categorize it as dressing. I still do not feel totally dressing alone is going to stop. Because if you like, be covered as I am.
I'm just saying, is there a need to also...
Yes, there is a need to some extent, because now we are overdoing it. You see some people dress in a way that everything is all out. We should know how to dress to the church, know how to dress to the office, know when you're going for a party. That should be something we should actually learn. Because if you go outside, so I'm always using that as an instance, because we Nigerians have forgotten we have a culture and we are copying others. So if you look at them, they have dressing code for everything. When they are going to church, they have what to wear, regardless that they don't cover their hair or anything. They know they are going to church. So we should actually teach dressing too.
Well, we're battling with time. Lois, I would like to have your last word on this issue.
Say that the 16 days of activism is a whole time to advocate.
I know you have a lot to say, so in 1 minute.
That, no matter where you are, you may not be on TV, you have your social media. Let's use this time to advocate, to create awareness. The 16 days of activism started yesterday on the 25th, and it started with elimination of violence against women. And we're going to end on the 10th of December, and we're going to end with International Day for Human Rights. So I would say that it's important. Let's use this period to advocate, to talk to people, talk to your neighbor. You can start with your neighbor. You don't know what your neighbor is doing to our house help. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this in the churches, in the mosques, anywhere you find yourself. They're in a car. Talk to somebody close to you and tell them about what's going on. 16 days of activism is a whole lot of time to educate people. So let's use this time to advocate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Teresa, your last word.
Okay, I want to say that gender-based violence is not just an issue to the woman or anybody. It is an human rights issue. So it is something that is very important for us to tackle, and we cannot start without each and every one of us starting by ourselves. Some of us are actually abused and we see it as normal. So like what I always say, I say always give your time grace and learn. Be ready to unlearn, relearn, and also talk to yourself. Like we have 16 days already, and in 2 days is off for me. So if you've not started your journey to talk about this, because we need a change. And Girl Champion Hub, we are doing that because we have been talking about. 2 weeks ago we spoke about this, because we have people write us and talk about, I don't know how to go out of this, I don't know, some persons. So you need to actually be comfortable to speak up to guardian. Don't. But the problem most people face are the thoughts that the stigma. How do you know that my husband beats me up? How do you know that my this, all of those things? So I feel like you start by yourself. You have to gain the knowledge to know that this thing is wrong, and when it is wrong, you start by addressing it.
Thank you very much, Teresa Obazebe, founder, Girl Champion Hub, and thank you, Lois Amele, sexual, gender-based, and mental health advocate, for this wonderful expose on how to tackle gender-based violence. Thank you very much. It's 16 days and it's going to end on the 10th of December. Imagine a world where little girls, little boys, men and women will be free without being afraid of any form of assault whatsoever. This is the kind of world that we are talking about, and we're going to achieve it. Well, I will hand you over to our Benin Network Center, where the news is coming up.